fucking shit. Like, Jesus Christ. I don't know where to begin. I honestly have no words. I have no idea where to take this video. I think I'm even getting a headache. That's what the experience of watching the first 4 episodes of Cardfight Vanguard Will Dress Season 3 has been for me. Now, many of you may be saying I'm already in a bad mood from Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush's last few episodes, but they're nothing compared to this. This is a train wreck and a half. They have very clearly decided we will throw every idea we can think of against the wall. We'll do nothing with any of it, but we're just gonna go for it. And I'm sure some people are finding it interesting, but let's just talk about it. Let's just start. We're a minute in, and I have no idea if we're gonna actually be able to cover all 4 episodes, or if we'll make it through like the first 2 minutes of episode 1 before we hit 10 minutes. That's where we're at right now with this show, people. That's what's happening here. But anyways, let's start right where the season begins. So the introductory scene of this season is how Ghoulie, whatever the fucking evil AI is called, how it was created and where it came up with the idea that it had to create uniformers and do all the fucked up shit it's been doing. And you know what? It's every generic evil AI scene you've ever seen in anything. It's iRobot. It's a lot of Star Trek. It's a lot of Doctor Who. It's literally just, he makes the AI, says, you're gonna lead the world to a brighter future, and upon analyzing humanity is like, humanity has a lot of problems, so therefore I must fix them, and the only way to fix them is with world domination. Except I'm going to do it with card games, so it's way more fucking stupider. And I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with this if they tried to do some sort of interesting spin on it, but they don't. It's literally just every generic scene of this you've ever seen in any sci-fi thing, and they like don't do anything with it. It's completely straight, like they just think you're stupid and have never seen this type of plot before, not knowing it's just everywhere. So yeah, we're already starting the season off by telling you why you shouldn't remember it. That's bad. So then we skip ahead to our first main proper scene. And the main scene of this episode is you've got Yu and Rika, and they're giving a school interview about Vanguard for some reason. I don't fucking know or care. It's really just bad exposition. And it is in this scene we find out that 6 months have gone by. That's right. 6 actual fucking months have passed since Yu had to save Urara from brainwashing. That'll come up in a second. And we find out that in that time, Uniformers is basically put their world domination plot in motion, and our main characters have done nothing but fuck around for 6 months and not do anything about it, except one throwaway line of Rika being like, don't worry, I've been researching this, that'll totally help. But yeah, so Uniformers' plan is so insanely fucking stupid, I kind of just believe they'll lose to themselves. So now they have launched a phone app that everybody has, and the phone app just does everything their facility does, except on your fucking phone, and if you're good enough, they will just mail you the stupid barrettes. Let's think about this for a second, people. The most complicated technology this world has ever seen is literally being sent in the mail like a promotional bag of chips or something. That is happening. They're literally just sending the shit to anyone who they think is like good enough, and everyone is just going along with it, and now the world is just obsessed with uniformers. There's so much fucking shit wrong here. It's like insane. So let's just start with the first obvious problem, and that is a problem this franchise has had time and time again, and that is the entire premise to the world of Cardfight Vanguard is that it's a lot closer to reality than Yu-Gi-Oh! And something every series tries to reiterate is that Vanguard does not run the world. It is simply a very popular hobby. So therefore, if you are a force or an entity that wants to rule the world, trying to get this game to do it for you is stupid. And yes, you can make the argument that AI is programmed to use Vanguard to do it, but like no one else who is like loyal to this thing is done anything else to make it work. Let's move on to the next problem. The next problem is that it's just on the phone, so therefore everyone has access to it. The first kind of issue with this is something I liked about the way Uniformers was presented was, well, the presentation. They were kind of vague, like for all their over-explaining of shit, they were kind of vague on how the technology more or less functioned. And so it kind of looked to me like you needed people in a controlled environment. They needed to be in a specific scenario so you could keep an eye on them. You needed them to do things your way so they didn't end up like Michiru. And also maybe the chairs did something, I don't know, it doesn't fucking matter. But the point is, it felt like there was like logic and purpose to what was being presented to you. Now, all of this super complicated science shit can be conducted with the same logic as people playing Candy Crush, and then you just send the shit to them. Again, the most complicated technology on the planet, and you're assuming people won't lose it, sell it on eBay, or figure out what you're fucking doing. There's the next problem. So presumably you see it that the barrettes are like just in the world now and people just have them. So that would mean people in the world, and this is supposed to be what the threatening part of what's happening is. The threatening part of what's happening is that all these people, innocent people, are just giving up their individuality to become Uniformers, just brain puppets. And like, that should be what the threat is. That should be the big deal. But it's not! Like, this is the crazy thing. No one is reacting to anything. No one, like, seems to care or, like, finds anything weird or unusual or scary or anything. Everyone is just going along with everything. Here's my question. If people, like, if it's just regular everyday people who are going through this, not, like, specifically scouted people like Urara or the other girl, who is, like, 7 feet tall for some reason, for the people who are just like scoped out for this, do their loved ones not notice as they become like mindless zombies? Like, is no one noticing this? Like, that's the whole point to this whole thing. The whole point is that it rewrites your personality so you'll be more conforming to what Uniformers wants. That's why they're called Uniformers. Like, is no one noticing this happening? Why are we not seeing anybody? No one else we have seen who is now on Uniformer's side, like, what's-her-face, Vidya chick. No one is, like, creepy. No one is acting like Urara acted. Remember, Urara was supposed to be our example of this. But, like, no one is, like, noticing the world isn't caring. All I'm hearing is, Uniformers is great. Go Uniformers. Isn't it awesome? Isn't it fun? Also, now the whole world just is obsessed with them. When, again, like I said before, the whole world is not supposed to be obsessed with Vanguard. I don't understand why this franchise fights its own concept tooth and nail every fucking time. God! It's that bad! All right, what else do we have time for? So yeah, I guess if we were to continue, the next big thing is, what is the fucking editing in this season? What's the editing? Like, when Yu and Raika are on the bus, and like, we're just getting shots of everyone's mouths, or like weird shots from like the perspective of people's arms. What the fuck is that about? But yeah, so then Yu and crew run into Jinky, who's just there, and then the AI just takes over Jinky's body, and Yu doesn't react at all. He's just like, oh, okay, and then proceeds situation normal. This is a huge deal. They don't know anything about the other shows, so the idea that an AI can just control a person's body is a huge deal. Why don't they care? Why doesn't he do anything? What are you, when Jinky passes out, why don't they beat him up and take his wallet? Like, Christ! Oh, and the last thing I'll say, in regards to the Urara thing. So, the reason I kind of feel, because people will make the argument, oh, well, they can't really do anything because they're just teenagers. What can they do? Well, for starters, showing them being proactive makes them more interesting characters in general. But also, you've got the smoking gun right there. You have a 13-year-old girl who just had her brain messed with and was under mind control and was like experimented on. None of these things are legal. Just take her to the cops. Just do anything. Why is no one taking their brainwashed relatives to the hospital or the police or anything? Why is no one doing anything? Why is this so fucking bad? We're getting too long, and I got to the first episode. The last thing I'll just say is the fight is cool, but when the whole point to the AI is it takes your emotions and individuality from you, I think those really cool looking creepy images that everyone was hyping up after the first episode kind of end up just feeling contradictory to the point to the show. But that's just, I guess you can make that as more of a nitpick. The last thing worth mentioning is I'm sure many of you will ask, well, which is worse, this or Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush? Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush is really fucking stupid. It has a lot of problems. It's not really a good show, but I can at least find merit in it and enjoyment in it. And also, it doesn't try to not be silly. That is the point. This show is playing everything completely straight. And even though I think a lot of the ideas in it are good and interesting, they're not in service anything, so they just go to waste. It's like the writers have just taken every idea they had, threw it on the wall without thinking, how do we make anything work? How do we bring it all together? I literally could not get through one episode without just like wanting to fucking scream. And that's a problem. So yeah, I can't really call this an episode reaction video, but it's just how I reacted to this. Give me your thoughts about it in the comments section below. Do I do a Vanguard question of the week? Oh, let's go with this one. Festival Collection. It just came out pretty recently. My question to you is, do you like this model for Festival Collection and kind of like what they did last year? Obviously, this one is way better than last year's. Or do you like the first one where it's like you got one or two new cards, but you got things like SP triggers, SPs of your main units, that kind of thing? I'm not going to lie, I kind of liked the first one better. I kind of feel like a lot of the good cards from these could have just been put in normal core sets, and the bad ones are just whatever. I'd much rather have these lyrical cards instead of what we're getting in actual lyrical 4. So yeah, give me your thoughts about that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next time where I might just have a fucking aneurysm.